Welcome back to the Charismatic Voice. I have been asking for years now who your favorite harsh vocalists are, and Travis Ryan is one of the most mentioned people. When I dug into his history, I was shocked by how long he's been doing this. I feel like such a noob. And I'm going to be listening to a full song by Cattle Decapitation for the first time today. Let's get to it. Whoa. First thing, I almost feel like we're in just a super heavy version of Tool. The moment that this started up, it was like intentionally jarring us out of any sense of 4/4. It's like, no. Trust me, you do not want to be in a normal time signature. And I also, besides that, it also sounded like we had this like incredible burp gulp, which was a really cool sound right at the beginning. One more time from the beginning. Wow, what is that sound? I like the echo on it. What's fascinating is I think that this might actually be written in 4/4, but purposely has accents outside of it that jars the sense of 4/4. So it's just, it's kind of brilliant, honestly. I think this beginning it's like so disturbing, yet catchy at the same time. Wow, those accents are nuts. And making use of even more tension with the half step here. Wow. That was cool. I love the layering of different types of vocal distortion there. I love that. Just straight up, y'all, I have already asked to see down Travis Ryan's throat. This is really because of your requests. I communicate on social media a ton with all y'all. I ask y'all questions. I'm often planning things based on your responses, right? This started like at the very, very beginning of the channel when I asked y'all what you wanted to hear next on the channel, and I started tracking it. I even showed you my tracking sheet at one point. This hasn't changed. I ask you questions and I try to provide you with content you would like, but I've always had this ulterior motive here. I am fascinated by these different sounds that vocalists like Travis Ryan are creating in their throat. They're made with these upper laryngeal structures, which we have so little data on. And I am supporting vocal research into these structures. It has such a huge, incredible possibility for reach as well. We'll talk a lot more about that later, but just so you know, I've already asked to see down his throat based on like a few seconds that someone showed me. I had all of these recommendations and then a couple seconds here and there. I was like, oh my gosh, this person is incredible. So already. And he, by the way, he did agree. Yes, he's definitely on board. I should have mentioned that, huh? Okay, that's the beginning of hopefully the vocal section here. amazing. Okay, let's talk about some of the sounds that I'm hearing. One of my goals in this research and digging deeper into these kinds of sounds is to try to understand the different terms that people are using and maybe see if we can find some common terms that people can agree on. This first sound that Travis is making is fairly low overall within, I sometimes will call it a pitch center. Sometimes we'll talk about like a spectral centroid as well. But it's fairly low in pitch without having a true pitch in it. Just the overall center of the energy of the sound is fairly low. We've seen, it seems like false chords are most associated with this lower sound. So a false chord scream, false chords being the fleshy bits that are right above the true vocal folds. Sometimes they're active in things like subharmonics. Think Jeff Castellucci, the screws in your furniture coming out because the entire house is shaking. Okay, but when those aren't combining with the true vocal folds in a very specific pattern, they can create this low kind of growly sound. But it did sound like there was a little bit of something else in there. And so I'm curious, I don't know if this is just a standard, what you would call his false chord scream, but it might be just considered a guttural, a bass guttural for him that has maybe false chords. Maybe there's something else above it too, a little constriction that's a little bit further up. I'm not sure. I'm really excited to see that though. And I'm also really excited to work with him in categorizing how he talks about his sounds. Because I think it's so amazing to hear how artists have developed this catalog of sounds without any sort of formal training. Everyone talks about their sounds in a different way, and that's incredible. Oh, and when he starts into the sound, it sounds like there's a much, much higher layer in that has a higher pitch center as well. We'll talk about that one later, I think. Wow! Oh my gosh. He's essentially using moving through a diphthong there. What's the word? What's the word that happens there? I'm not sure. Let me see. That's what it is. Okay, so it's using an R coloration vowel at the end. Scourge, it's a complicated word to sing because it has this R vowel in it. And when you're singing an R colored vowel, you need to think about how much R is in it and how much of the true vowel behind it is in it. Sometimes it's called a diphthong. Sometimes you just call it an R colored vowel. But the idea is you could sing scourge and essentially go between the schwa or whatever you want that first true vowel to be and add more R at the end. And he uses the addition of the R as it's going up to change the filter, meaning source of sound is somewhere down here, right? Fleshy bits somewhere in the larynx. The filter is all of this stuff up here that involves how we shape our tongues, how we move our soft palates. It can be teeth and lips and nose. There are all kinds of amazing things. One of the crazy things we saw when Will Ramos went through this series of tests in the DMRI, we saw his pharyngeal space, so like the back of his throat was just like, it was just, wah! That's the sound that the back of his throat would have made. Pharyngeal space shifting is filter shifting, and it is amazing. It can be involved with some sources too, by the way, but it's amazing how much more variety and control we now think metal vocalists have of that area. It's like it's a whole next level. Insane. Okay, back to this part. Ooh, go. Wow. I love the way that they produce that moment as well. essentially, as he slides up, they drop out the bottom so that it even further highlights that slide up, and then a couple drum beats, drop it back in. That was great breath control. Really great breath control. Oh man. And it's in the lows too. For clean singers, a lot of times low notes just have more air flowing through. And so lows can be harder to hold for a long time than highs. I don't know if that is going to apply to vocal distortion, because we're seeing that it's using different anatomy to essentially withhold the breath pressure. So it might be that anatomy is coming really closely together and making it so not as much air can escape. Or it might be that there is a lot of air that can escape, but when you hear something that's held out like this with so much complexity in the sound as well, I feel impressed. Nice. I heard a phrase recently, and this is where it applies. That sound is like finishing off the end of a Slurpee, right? Think about it. Like that sound, maybe like do a pitch shift even lower, because these are incredible low, deep gutturals. But yeah, I totally get the end of a Slurpee right there. You're like, I really got to get the last drop out. Wow. That's brilliant. So he's sat in his lows most of this time. We had tons of different filters on it, especially in that last section. You could hear where he was really highlighting what I would say, like, I think there was probably more elongation with his lips at one point to create a deeper sound, and then other times when they were pulled further back to highlight brighters, but it was still lows overall. I think probably very false chord reliant screams. We're going to find out though when we put a camera down his throat. I should mention, in order to put a camera down his throat, we need funding. So please check out the Kickstarter that the Charismatic Voice has just launched. You can be involved in this. You can make this science happen. You can get all kinds of benefits at the same time. Donate to a nonprofit to support vocal research, support a camera going down Travis Ryan's throat. Okay, let's do it. But at the same time, if you want more analysis, if you want behind the scenes videos, exclusive live stream access, there are so many extra perks that you can get by supporting it on Kickstarter. The Charismatic Voice is just giving up a ton of things. And the research team is too. If you scream yourself, we have a personal scream analysis as one of the tiers. It's so cool. I've never seen anything like that done before. So go check out the Kickstarter and help us see what's happening in Travis Ryan's throat and get some good benefits at the same time. Let's go back to this switch to the highs, which I think was brilliant because it really, the lows all along set us up so well for this moment. There's almost vocal fry. That's just so cool. I like that you can see his tongue doing this crazy shape. And just so you know, like we have done procedures on one person, very, very thorough procedures on one person so far, right? Will Ramos. And his tongue did wacko things. And this entire room of researchers beside me, they're watching his tongue inside the MR machine. they're all leaning forward and just whispering in excitement as they see this. What are they going to do? How are they going to freak out when they see this like a sight? It almost looks like a tunnel, his version of a tunnel scream. I mean, he's the first person I think that made this kind of sound. But it's cool. His tongue shape looks similar to Will's tunnel scream, but it's a little bit different there. But I hope to really see. Look at how far his lips are pulled back. And then this crazy tongue. Oh my gosh. That was so awesome to hear him bringing a melody here. I really like that. It evolved the song into a new level that I really enjoyed. He has so much very controlled and continual distortion that's added in this high melody as well. He has such good control over his distortion. It's just incredible. I had a conversation on the phone with Travis. He's so passionate about what he does, and he's so excited for this. In case you guys are wondering, there's not a tentative, any sort of tentativeness that I'm perceiving so far. He's so excited, and I'm so excited. So I really hope it gets to happen. But I remember talking about the decision to bring more melody into their music and how that was that was a big leap for them. They've been around for such a long time, but they've had this sort of fascinating development of their career. I've read about it, right? I haven't actually heard it all yet. I've been saving a first time here, but believe me, I'm going to be diving in so much more. But most bands explode with their first one, maybe two albums. They've had this like sort of weird build that has continued to happen. And I wonder how the role of melody being brought into this really affected the overall trajectory of their career. I like it. Well, there is something about melody that brings in an extra set of impact with it. And I appreciate that massively. I'm going to be really curious to see what's happening in his vocal tract as he's having these elongated melodies with the distortion on top. This is actually one of the most difficult things to perceive. And I don't know of any other study that exists that's been able to do what we've done. What will help to establish. And at the University of Utah, they have equipment that goes around the throat during the MRI and can perceive a lot more of things happening in here. When you're just putting a camera down someone's throat, it actually goes, well, if it's a flexible scope, there's flexible and rigid scopes. The rigid ones cause a lot of people to gag, and they're very difficult to use for harsh vocalists because of the upper constriction. The flexible ones go up through the nose. It's like a really bad COVID test. Like goes up through there, and then it actually goes down past your soft palate and has this eagle's eye view looking down into the throat. This is amazing because we can see all the structures like perfectly when they're open. When something in the upper part constricts, though, it obscures the view of the structures underneath. We can see them coming together. We can do this amazing like slow speed replay and see when some structures come together, sort of like, take all kinds of stills from it, get an idea. But it's really hard when you have a higher constriction up here, which is what I think is happening in his throat. And then you also have the two folds, which are the very, very bottom structure. It's really hard to see what's actually happening there. We know that there's a pitch here, and the only structure that we're sure can make its own pitch is going to be the true vocal folds. There are some theories out there about other structures that might be able to make a pitch too. And we're not talking about overtones, okay? We're talking about that really fundamental frequency. So in the DMRI, we can actually see all of the structures at once. That's why this is so extra exciting. And then there's another level. There are, one of the tests takes little tiny, they're needles, and they put them into the throat, but they insert these little tiny electrodes. It's almost like acupuncture. And the electrodes can measure muscle activation. So we can use that to gain information about how much one structure is being used or another. It's very fascinating. I'm so excited about it, y'all. I'm going to go back here though. Let's just catch the end of this screaming, and then we'll see where else we go. It's like the low just got lower. That was like, we've gone beyond burping. This is a stomach gurgle. I'm a really good burper. I am like a burping champ. I've won lots of burping competitions. It's a thing. Of course, burps are coming from a different spot, right? They're coming, well, you have esophageal speech as well, but right, they're coming because of something that's happening in your tummy, not your lungs, right? Lungs go up through trachea. That's where your voice box is going to be. And then you have the stomach, which is attached to esophagus. And then there's this like flap that goes back and forth between the two. It's called your epiglottis. You've probably heard of it. And that helps you when you swallow to make sure it goes down the right tube. I have this burning desire now to try and figure out, I don't think it's possible, but I'm wondering if I can burp and create low distortion at the same time, or if burping, is there any way I can activate some of those absolute highest structures? This is something I am going to explore in my off time, y'all. I hope that you burp along with me and see if we can make amazing, amazing noises. It won't be this long for sure though. Just gotta make sure that's clear. Wow. Wow. For all that I am very excited and nerding out about voice, I want to take a moment and just absorb the messaging of the song. I read through the lyrics ahead of time, and there is so much intensity in this performance. I think there's so much heart behind it. An incredible, it hits. And if I weren't such a vocal nerd, I think I would have been really hit by it more earlier and stayed in that. Of course, I have this like weird like glee that comes up when I hear these incredible sounds, so much excitement. But the whole point of having awesome vocal technique is to communicate your message. And I feel that this kind of sound is amazing for communicating this. There's a desperation and anger as well. Scourge is calling us the scourge of the earth here, right? It's just, these words are intense, beautifully written, right? It's really incredible. I encourage you all to read through these lyrics and take in this song at some point without me interrupting it, so you can get that full impact, and then come back and watch the analysis again, so you can get some glee with that impact too. It's almost like we get the two sides of Gollum at once in there. Oh, I love that word. Terrasites. I remember reading that in the lyrics ahead of time, right? What's the full line there? Now thriving terrasites. I love this. I don't know if it's an actual word in the dictionary or if he made it up, but it's a combination of essentially Terrans, earthlings, and parasites, talking about how we just are a scourge on the planet. Great word. I'm going to go back in this section here and just briefly ask everybody this time to listen to the drums underneath. I think that they are doing so much to the texture of this, what I would call chorus. The variety is incredible. The technique is incredible. I wonder how many cramps he got in his legs to figure out how to do this. It's just wow. Whoa, that was such a cool sound he brought into the end. Man, he's got so many good sound effects he can make. Wow. And there's that mega low. So I feel like there's at least 4 different types of sources I've heard in his voice so far, or combinations of sources probably, just in this song. But I think that some of the special effects might be bringing in something else too. So cool. So very cool. Can you imagine, like, normal singing is using one source. One source. It's just a true vocal fold. I think it's so incredible, almost unbelievable that we haven't gone into depth on how these other structures are creating sound. It's mind-boggling to me. We should definitely have more information about it. All of those structures, by the way, they can be affecting clean singing as well, because singing is based on essentially air pressure and something coming together. And if the two folds are coming together, but there's something else also happening on top, that affects the air pressure, the airflow in the vocal tract. So it's just, for all the study we've done on clean singing, I'm baffled why we haven't gone into this area more, not to mention all of the music therapy benefits that could be coming from this. It just, we need to do it. We need to do it now. One more time. That's so cool. I wonder if we can see his face better on that. I have noticed it looks like when he's doing some of the higher constrictions, it looks like he likes to tilt up, like tilt his head up a lot more, and lows, he likes to tilt down more. I wonder if that, maybe it helps with elongating the vocal tract when it's lower, like creating a longer tube that helps enhance deeper resonances. And this might help to shorten it here. And then also definitely pulling the lips back helps to make that tube enhance brighter resonances. That's cool. See, there's that lower one. I love that sound. How many layers are there? Oh, well, I was not expecting that. Ooh, disgusting. Oh, I am so glad I followed your advice and asked Travis Ryan if I could see down his throat. That is going to be amazing. You can make it happen. Check out our Kickstarter launch video over here. And also I'll toss on some other analyses of harsh vocalists. We have 6 professional singer-screamers who we're going to bring in, and actually a bonus singer-screamer as well that we're going to bring in with potentials for stretch goals for more singer-screamers. So check it out, and may you fall more in love with music every day.